As Mr. Epstein is concerned, it was the wrong decision to go and see him in 2010.
After more than 2 decades of silence, Prince Andrew suddenly revealed a shocking detail related to the old girl in the scandal surrounding billionaire Jeffrey Epstein. The story seemed to have been closed in the pages of legal documents. Now another door suddenly opened with secrets that the public has never heard about Prince Andrew and Jeffrey Epstein. Prince Andrew was first introduced to Jeffrey Epstein in the late 1990s through the connections of Ghislaine Maxwell Epstein's close friend and longtime associate. At that time, Andrew was still the charming prince of the British royal family. He regularly appeared at luxury parties and international events. Epstein, with his excellent communication skills, attracted the elite to his side. He created meetings with the most powerful politicians, businessmen, and people. Andrew once frankly admitted that this relationship brought him valuable learning and exchange opportunities. The people I met and the opportunities I had, whether because of him or because of him, were very useful. But behind the glitz, Andrew and Epstein's relationship opened the door to a world of sin. The lavish parties, the powerful handshakes, and the glamorous promises were just a cover for a dark web. Where money, power, and lust were intertwined, even the British royal family could not stay out of the storm. Prince Andrew and Virginia Roberts, Jeffrey. The fateful encounter that began a royal tragedy. Virginia Roberts Jeffrey was born and raised in the United States. At the age of 16, she started a modest job at the spa at Mar-a-Lago Trump's private club in Florida for just $9 an hour. It was there that she met Ghislaine Maxwell, a famous figure in the upper class. Maxwell offered Virginia a better opportunity by introducing her to billionaire Jeffrey Epstein. From there, her life took a different trajectory filled with international travel and meetings with elite figures. Reporter Sharon Churcher flew to Australia to meet Virginia Jeffrey alias Jane Doe Hash, 102. She listened to her untold memories, and then published Virginia's full story in an article in the Mail on Sunday, on February 26, 2011. Virginia recounted traveling extensively on Epstein's private jet, which the press later dubbed the Lolita Express. The most memorable of these was a 6-week trip in March 2001 that took her to Paris, Madrid, Tangier, and an important stop in London. There she was taken to Maxwell's luxurious home in the Belgravia neighborhood. Virginia recalled that morning Maxwell came into her room excitedly and said, "Get up, today is a special day. We're going shopping. Tonight you're going to meet a prince." That afternoon, Virginia went down to the living room. Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein were already there. A moment later, Prince Andrew walked in. The atmosphere was like a social gathering. Maxwell poured tea, laid out cookies, talked about Sarah Ferguson, Andrew's ex-wife, and talked about his daughters. Maxwell then took Virginia to the Tramp nightclub, where she reportedly danced with Andrew. A week later, Epstein paid $15,000 for the meeting. Among the mementos Virginia kept was an envelope filled with photos from her traveling days with Epstein. Among the travel photos, one has become iconic: Virginia in multicolored pants and a midriff-bearing top standing between a smiling Prince Andrew, his hand resting lightly on her waist, and a smiling Ghislaine Maxwell. Virginia says Epstein apparently took the photo with her cheap Kodak camera. The photo is considered the clearest visual evidence of Andrew's presence with Jeffrey when she was just 17. The photo quickly appeared in the newspapers. The first reaction from the royal family, and Andrew, was denial, suggesting it could be fake or doctored, and Andrew saying he could not remember the photo ever being taken. But Michael Thomas insisted, "I personally have never doubted Virginia's story." Virginia later told the Mail on Sunday that in addition to the initial meeting in London, she had 2 other meetings with Andrew. One was in late 2001 at Epstein's New York home. The second was a year later when she was 18 and taken to Epstein's private island Little St. James. One photo became the spark that ignited Virginia's anger and forced Prince Andrew into the light. Central Park. Photo: the last straw. In December 2010, photographer Jay Donnelly captured a shocking moment. Prince Andrew and Jeffrey Epstein leisurely strolled through Central Park, New York. In the frame, the two men walked side by side, chatting like old friends amid the remaining winter foliage. Andrew wore a black coat, looking strangely leisurely, showing no hesitation when walking next to a man who had just been released from prison, Jeffrey Epstein. At the time, Epstein was already a convicted criminal. But the sight of Prince Charles's younger brother, a member of the British royal family, comfortably chatting with Epstein, sparked a media storm. Jay Donnelly, a photographer for the National Press Association (NPPA), captured the moment. He and his team followed Epstein for days, hunting for clues until they saw him and Andrew walk out of a building on the Upper East Side and into a park. At about 1:40 p.m. on December 5, 2010, Donnelly climbed a rock, raised his camera, and took the photo that would go down in history. But the picture was more than just a paparazzi snap. It rocked Andrew's image and plunged the British royal family into a spiral of crisis. As the photo splashed across the front pages of newspapers, Virginia Roberts Jeffrey, who was living in seclusion in a small Australian town, felt a painful memory awaken. And it was at that moment that the photo became the last straw, urging Virginia to stand up, go public with her story, and accuse Prince Andrew. Virginia Roberts. Jeffrey sues Prince Andrew, the case that shook the British royal family. In August 2021, Virginia filed a civil lawsuit in the Southern New York Federal Court under the New York State Child Victims Act. The lawsuit states that Andrew assaulted her 3 times in London, New York, and on Epstein's private island in the Caribbean. In the lawsuit, Virginia describes in detail that Ghislaine Maxwell gave her to Andrew as a gift, while Epstein controlled her from behind. Once after dancing at Tramp nightclub London, Maxwell leaned close to her ear and said coldly, "Do to him what you did to Epstein." Those statements were like a knife slashing straight into the honor of the British royal family, which is considered an inviolable sanctuary. Prince Andrew immediately denied the allegations after the lawsuit was filed, claiming he had never met Virginia. Andrew's attorney cited a 2009 agreement between Virginia and Epstein in which Jeffrey received $500,000 to not sue other potential defendants. But it was rejected by Judge Lewis A. Kaplan in January 2022. In early 2022, faced with the prospect of going to court to face humiliating questions, Andrew chose to defuse the situation, settling out of court. February 2022. The two sides reach a settlement. Andrew will pay a huge sum estimated at £12 million, $16 million, part of which will go to a victim support organization founded by Virginia. In return, Virginia withdraws the lawsuit, and Andrew does not have to admit guilt but is completely disgraced. This is not just a financial settlement, but a social judgment for Andrew, commented The Guardian. After all, Prince Andrew officially spoke on television, and this time he had to admit his mistake. However, the interview quickly turned into a joke. Andrew's disastrous confession, when knowing Epstein went wrong. In November 2019, Prince Andrew was interviewed on BBC Newsnight. The interview was supposed to be an opportunity for Andrew to clear up all doubts. But it turned out to be the biggest media disaster of his life, and also the biggest shock the British royal family has faced in the 21st century. Andrew walked into the studio with a poker face, hoping that his 50-minute chat with journalist Emily Maitlis would help quell the furor surrounding his relationship with billionaire Jeffrey Epstein. But with just a few words, he accidentally added fuel to the fire. On camera, Andrew made the inevitable admission. Staying in Epstein's house after he had been convicted was a mistake. "I let the royal family down." That seemingly heartfelt statement was just the beginning of a series of clumsy arguments. He then elaborated on the 2010 trip to New York. As far as Mr. Epstein is concerned, it was the wrong decision to go and see him in 2010. Vakinoive moi kwan hivoi Epstein ong tatuanan. Was I right in having him as a friend at the time? The problem was the fact that once he had been convicted, I stayed with him, and that's the bit that I kick myself for on a daily basis. What has outraged the public, however, is his clumsy denials about Virginia Jeffrey. Emily Maitlis brought up the famous photo Andrew with his arm around Virginia Jeffrey with Ghislaine Maxwell standing behind. Andrew replied coolly, "I don't remember taking that photo. I can't confirm whether it's real or not." Furthermore, in response to Jeffrey's allegation that she met Andrew at Tramp nightclub in London in 2001, Andrew said, "I was at Pizza Express in Woking with my daughter that day, not in London." The remark was instantly turned into a global joke with a slew of Pizza Express alibi memes flooding social media. Jeffrey once described Andrew as sweating profusely while jumping. Andrew countered, "I couldn't sweat," due to the adrenaline rush of the Falklands War. An excuse that sounded like a satirical script, but was delivered seriously, made him the subject of worldwide ridicule. Despite admitting that the relationship was a mistake, Andrew described Epstein as a fascinating person in the early days of their relationship, even admitting that the friendship brought about useful opportunities. To many, this was a sign that Andrew never really cut ties or condemned Epstein, but was just trying to get out. British and world press simultaneously headlined, "The worst interview in royal history, a self-destructive PR act." The public was outraged, saying that Andrew lacked empathy for the victims, while the Pizza Express, or can't sweat excuses, only made him look more ridiculous and suspicious. Terrible pressure on the British royal family. The British media exploded. The public was outraged. Just 5 days later, Queen Elizabeth II, who has always protected the image of the royal family, was forced to make an unprecedented decision. She stripped Andrew of all his military titles and royal duties, including honorary titles in the Royal Navy, Royal Air Force, and Marines. At the same time, she revoked all royal patronages, ending his presence in official activities. King Charles cut off financial and security support, even demanding that the prince be removed from the royal lodge. Overnight, from a proud Prince Andrew became a common citizen. He was removed from public life, no longer allowed to participate in any royal activities. For many, this was not just an administrative decision, but an honorable sentence. For the first time in modern history, a senior member of the British royal family was completely removed from the circle of power due to public pressure and irreparable scandal. The lawsuit seemed to be over, but the aftershocks did not stop. On April 25, 2025, Virginia Jeffrey was found dead on a farm in Western Australia at the age of 41. Her death has caused a stir once again. Virginia's family and her lawyers have called for a public apology from Prince Andrew. Pressure is mounting on the royal family, with many believing that Andrew has not taken responsibility. But it's not over yet. The terrifying secrets about Prince Andrew have been revealed in a book that has shocked the whole of England, and anyone who reads it will be terrified. Entitled The Rise and Fall of the House of York, the book exposes the dark side of Prince Andrew. On July 4, 2024, Blink Publishing officially launched, entitled The Rise and Fall of the House of York, the latest work by Andrew Lowney, one of the most astute royal biographers in the UK. As soon as it hit the shelves, the book immediately climbed straight to Amazon UK's bestseller list, and also entered the top of the most discussed royal biographies on Twitter X. Andrew Lowney goes further than ever before. He delves into the dark corners of the life of Prince Andrew, once known as Queen Elizabeth II's favorite son, and reveals a completely different image. Lowney used more than 50 exclusive interviews with witnesses, former royal staff, old friends, and those who had passed through the prince's life. He also accessed hundreds of pages of archives, old notes, and even never-before-seen emails and internal correspondence. From there, he builds a chilling picture of the British prince. Andrew's reputation as a womanizer began in his school days, when his friends jokingly nicknamed him Randy Andy. The name stuck with him for decades, even later, when Andrew represented the British royal family on international tours during the reign of his mother, Queen Elizabeth II. Jeffrey Epstein, Andrew's infamous best friend, once called the prince a serial sex addict, indulging in unrestrained sexual adventures. Epstein even told friends that Andrew was more interested in love than anyone he had ever met. In particular, details of the 2006 trip to Bangkok stunned the international media. As revealed in the book, a Reuters reporter told author Andrew Lowney that when Andrew went to Thailand to represent the royal family to attend the Diamond Jubilee of the King of Thailand each day, more than 40 women were introduced to the hotel room where he stayed. The reporter even described the scene with a haunting sentence: "Often as soon as one leaves, another would arrive." Investigative journalist Ian Halperin revealed to Lowney that Andrew may have had relationships with more than 1,000 women, from famous faces such as actors, models, athletes to bar staff, and even royal servants. These revelations were published by the Daily Beast and The Sun, making Andrew's name appear frequently on the front page. Not only does the book tell of love affairs, it also portrays Andrew as hot-tempered and arrogant. Palace staff recounted how he once verbally abused a servant for mispronouncing the Princess Royal's name. This behavior is in stark contrast to the gentle demeanor of King Charles and Prince William. There were times when he was generous and cheerful, but then suddenly Andrew's anger could turn the palace atmosphere into hell, shared a former butler. Lowney also cleverly weaves in internal royal conflicts. At a family gathering in 2013, Prince Harry accused Andrew of calling him bonkers and predicted that Harry and Meghan's marriage would go nowhere. Unable to bear the harsh words, Harry became angry and called Andrew a coward. The argument turned into a fight, leaving Andrew with a wound on his face, a shocking detail that the press had never revealed before. Since its publication, entitled The Rise and Fall of the House of York has become a media bomb. Major newspapers have called it one of the most candid and daring books about Prince Andrew. British and American talk shows have continuously dissected every detail. But while public opinion is heated, the British royal family has remained absolutely silent, neither confirming nor denying nor issuing any official statement. That silence only adds weight to the book as a tacit admission that the stories told in the book are too hot to respond to. All details in the book are based on eyewitness accounts, archival documents, and reputable journalistic sources, and are not intended to be personal judgments or legal conclusions. Prince Andrew, Duke of York, the third son of Queen Elizabeth II, was once known as the charming prince of the British royal family. But after the events and scandals related to Jeffrey Epstein, his life took a completely different turn. At the age of 60, Andrew lives a quiet, troubled life confined within the silent walls of Royal Lodge, Windsor. Prince Andrew, marriage fortune and current life after scandal storms. In 1986, Prince Andrew married Sarah Ferguson in a lavish royal wedding televised to millions of viewers around the world. They quickly became one of the most prominent couples in the British royal family and had 2 daughters together, Princess Beatrice, 1988, and Princess Eugenie, 1990. However, the marriage did not last long. After a series of rumors, public pressure, and Andrew's secluded lifestyle while serving in the Royal Navy, the couple separated in 1992 and officially divorced in 1996. However, their story did not end. The strange thing, and also made many people curious, is that Sarah Ferguson is still by Andrew's side, not only on family occasions but also under the same roof. Since 2004, Sarah has moved to Royal Lodge, the large residence on the Crown Estate in Windsor where Andrew lives. Although only called ex-wife, Sarah still shares daily life with the prince, raises their daughter together, and even appears together on many important occasions. As a prince, Andrew has enjoyed many privileges. In the past, he received an annual allowance from the Queen, around £249,000 to cover his living expenses and public duties. But after the Jeffrey Epstein scandal broke, everything changed. In 2020, Prince Andrew stepped back from all public roles. By January 2022, he was stripped of all honorary military positions and could no longer use the title His Royal Highness in official activities. This had a direct consequence. He lost his royal allowance, relying only on his Royal Navy pension, £20,000 a year, and private finances. Currently, Andrew's estimated net worth is only around £4, £5 million, a modest number compared to other royals. Even to maintain life at Royal Lodge, where security and operating costs cost millions of pounds each year, Andrew has to rely on financial support from close patrons. He once owned a £13 million ski chalet in Verbier, Switzerland with Sarah Ferguson, but the property was forced to sell to settle debts and legal costs in a civil case with Virginia Jeffrey. Current life quietly in Royal Lodge, Windsor. After being unplugged from all royal activities, Andrew chose to live in seclusion. He still retains the right to stay at Royal Lodge, a magnificent 30-room mansion in Windsor, thanks to a 75-year lease signed with the Crown Estate. At one point, King Charles III wanted to force his brother to leave this place and move to Frogmore Cottage, Harry and Meghan's former home. But Andrew won the family tug-of-war. He remained at Royal Lodge and continued to live quietly in the lavish castle. Rare recent images show Andrew driving out of the mansion in his Range Rover to the stables, or attending small memorial services. He has been absent from major family events such as Christmas at Sandringham, or important state ceremonies. At one time, Andrew was known as Randy Andy, the British royal prince of Playboy, famous for his sexual adventures and open lifestyle. But after the Epstein incident, that image was shattered. Prince Andrew now spends most of his time at Royal Lodge, away from the public eye with no formal role in the British royal family. His fortune has dwindled, his reputation has suffered, but one thing has remained constant. He still has Sarah Ferguson and his daughters by his side, the only ties that remain intact in his turbulent life. After all, Prince Andrew still lives peacefully in the shadows. But will the truth about Epstein be exposed?